makes you hypersensitive to everything. You know, what are we doing right in our program to educate and consistently reinforce our values, what we need to do, be in the right place, hold your teammates accountable. And so our team meetings and our focus on those topics has definitely increased. Just a text, you know, right when everything was kind of happening, but not since then.
How many quarterbacks in college football do you think have arm strength comparable to Patrick?
I mean, very few. I don't know. You know, I'm not that familiar with all the quarterbacks, but I haven't seen many people throw a ball 85 yards.
Do you remember the first time you kind of noticed that or saw that? Was the first time you saw him throw a football? Did it jump out at you?
Yeah, I remember going to watch him play at White House, and it just kind of jumps off his hand, you know, and you can tell guys that have that type of arm strength, it comes out differently.
How have you seen him grown since his days at White House? He's probably a little bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and now he's matured into this young man. How have you seen him grow?
He's always been a very humble, you know, well-spoken, nice kid who his teammates love because he never tried to place himself above them. But I think he's definitely understanding now how good he can be and how his success can impact his life. Where when we first got him, I don't think he had any clue how good he was going to be. And it's been fun to see him. He's still the same humble kid, but he knows that if he puts in the work, that he has a special path ahead of him.
You mentioned a little bit about Dylan and having that connection because they played together. How does that translate into your?
You know, anytime Pat gets in trouble, he seems to find Dylan. I think just that comfort level, there's no telling how many throws they've had between each other over the last 7-8 years. So he's definitely his safety net, and they have a special relationship.
At your peak, Kliff, how far could you throw it?
If I running start 3 crow hops, probably maybe 65, 70.
So he's got you beat by 20?
He's got me beat by quite a bit. Don't tell him that.
So when you have a guy like Patrick, you know, you said at the quarterback, how does that impact you? Who are more likely to bring in college?
We'll see. You know, we'll see what happens with Pat. If he were to leave early, then we cross that bridge as far as junior college quarterback. But we like what we have in the pipeline. Nick Shimonek's really developed. Jed Duffy's going to be a really good player for us. We like the kid we have committed this year, so we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. But if we have to bring another kid in spring because he were to leave early, then we do that.
You're talking more about you knew as a sophomore he was a guy you knew you had to quarterback like last year's class.
Right.
This guy's to help him.
Oh yeah. We brought in one big time receiver, Derek Willies, but we had a bunch of great skill coming back. You know, we lost DeAndre and Jakeem, but feel like we have some guys that can fill that void pretty quickly. And all of them are a year older, a year wiser, and that usually goes a long way.
Over the last month or two, I guess summer and May, what do you think, from your perspective, has been maybe like the biggest positive development you've seen just from your team?
I think just the self-policing of, you know, being accountable, being on time, everybody pushing themselves in workouts. It used to be coach-driven, and it's not anymore. The players are handling that, and that's exciting.
You think it's just a natural progression of being year 4 too?
I do, and I think, you know, they're all guys that we've recruited. They understand our culture, what we're after, what we're going for, and they've had some success, you know, particularly offensively. Some of those guys have really made some big strides, and they've seen what hard work can do.
What do you think defensively that, you know, there's obviously going to have a lot of younger guys play in front 7, but then back 7, a lot of older guys, obviously?
Yeah, I think the front 7 is not as young as people think when you think about bringing in Colin Hill and Andre Pipkin. Braden comes back, Gary Moore's a redshirt junior. So the starting 4 will have some experience, and then after that there will be some young bodies that get thrown in the fire a little bit. But there is a lot of experience in that back end. A lot of those kids got beat up early, playing as 17 and 18-year-olds, and they've grown and got mentally tougher through it, and I expect that to pay off.
Speaking of that defense, you know, when you look back at that Texas game, you look at it and say that the running back was that good, or was you just defense just struggling so much on that day?
He's a good player. I mean, we wanted him badly. He's a big, tough, physical kid. We could have probably tackled him a little bit better, but he's a heck of a player.
And then what have you done defensively to kind of improve? I mean, have you looked back at that game a lot and said, okay, these are the areas we got to get better going forward?
Yeah, I think tackling all spring. We tackled more than we had in the past as far as taking guys to the ground, really making an emphasis of it. So hopefully it pays off.
Now that Baylor offense is all over that offense, Sterling Gilbert, Texas, how does that change how you approach high-powered offense?
Yeah, I mean, it takes time to get a high-powered offense. Now that it took Browse 5 or 6 years to get there, and bring in some really, really good players before they were, leading the country in points and yards and things like that. So I don't know if it'll be an overnight deal. I really like the young quarterback they have there. I think they have some great skill. I think Sterling will do a good job. But as far as jumping right in and leading the country in points and all those things that Baylor are doing, that may be a process.
What do you thought about all these young corners, these freshman guys you have, and just where you kind of think those guys are at and how they'll kind of compete and push these older guys?
Yeah, they're going to play. Really like their work ethic. They're guys you see up there on the foot ladder by themselves in the afternoons, getting extra work in. Very athletic, very fast, and so we brought them in for a reason, and they knew that. They're going to play right away and push these older guys.
And just this freshman group as a whole, what have you liked about them, just kind of their first, month, 35, 40 days on campus?
Yeah, I like their work ethic. I think Coach Witt, our strength coach, has done a great job having a freshman program that really brought those guys together. They show up to watch film on their own. They do a bunch of the extra things that it takes to make players great.
And speaking of Coach Witt, just now that you're 6-7 months in, how do you think your guys have really kind of acclimated to him? And just
they've responded well. He challenges them every day. There's no backing off. There's no easy days. There's no just go through the motion days. Every day he has a plan to push them to their max, and I think we'll see the results of that this fall.
Thanks, Kliff.
Thanks.
Kliff, you mentioned Baylor earlier. Forget about the opportunities. Just stepping into the job so late for growth. How tough is that on the coach?
It'd be a lot tougher if they didn't have all those good players. I know that. And they're still going to have a lot of talent. They're still going to have a lot of good coaches on that staff that have had a lot of success and are expected to win. So we'll see how it all goes, but I know they have a very good football team.
You mentioned recruiting earlier. When Pat was recruited, wasn't that the year that he had the 3 quarterbacks? It didn't scare him off. It's because he's so good.
Yeah, I think he is a competitor. I don't think that ever came to his thought process. He said, if I'm good enough, I'll play, and so he embraced that challenge, and I always appreciated it about him that he never turned that down.
Don't you see a lot of quarterbacks or just players in general, though, who say if there's a lot of competition, I'd rather go somewhere where there's no competition?
Yeah, you do. In college football, there's always going to be competition, so that mindset has never really made sense to me. But you do. You see kids not come because, you took 3 receivers in this class, you have 2 quarterbacks. But if you're good enough, you're going to play in college football, and if you're not, you're not. So the whole not going to a school because of the number of guys at that position, to me, doesn't make sense.
There have been so many good quarterbacks at Tech for years, including you. How do you compare Pat? As far as his physical traits?
His physical traits, he's the best by far. None of us could throw the ball 85 yards or run like him or as strong as him. He's big physically, so he's a different animal than we've had, and I think everybody will see that this fall.
Somewhere in the way he plays to anybody?
Not really. The way he runs around and makes plays, I saw some of that in Johnny. Johnny was a little bit more of a runner, or Pat extends plays to throw it. But he has a unique way of keeping his eyes down the field, keeping plays alive, and being very accurate on the move.
Coach, do conversations been like with him going here out of nowhere last year and now being the man?
Yeah, I think he's always expected to be the man. His whole life he was in baseball, basketball, and football. And I really think we just scratched the surface last year. I think his focus on football this offseason really took him to that next level, and he'll have a tremendous season.
You talked about him making ordinary plays instead of the extraordinary plays. How hard is that to kind of get that, I have to make extraordinary plays?
Yeah, there's a fine line because I don't want to take that away from him. That's what makes him special, is being able to make those plays. But when the easy one's there, let's take it, let's get through our reads, let's be strong in the pocket. And now if you have to get out and go, then let's let your magic go to work.
Do you feel any extra pressure as the coach now that you have your guys, you have your system, you have your physical coordinator coming back?
Not at all. I feel a lot better than I did. There's a lot of good things in place that we've worked towards to get in that position, to have an established, top flight quarterback, to have a defensive coordinator for his 2nd year in a row, and that's where we wanted to be. So it's the most confident, most comfortable I've felt.
Based on all those new additions, does it feel almost like a fresh start in a sense, just with those new coaches and
still having your third-year quarterback?
I don't know about a fresh start, but I think it's for Coach Gibbs. I think his comfort level is very high. Just watching him interact this spring, I think he feels a lot better about what we have going on that side of the ball.
Coach, can I take your attention away from Pat just for a second? Sure. Hollywood's on special teams. Last year, the expectation was pretty high. Last year, he played 13 games, had appearances and all. How do you see that elevated this season?
I've seen him develop a lot this summer. We asked him to step up because of some issues we had at linebacker and really have more of an impact, and he embraced that challenge. So I think he'll play more on defense. He'll still have a prominent role in special teams, but he'll play more defensively.
Right. And what do you find is the importance of recruiting in the North Texas area? You're finding a lot of talent there.
Yeah, there are. There's great players throughout the state, and that area is no different.
Coach, have you kept in contact with Johnny Manziel, and kind of what are those conversations like you have?
Yeah, I have, just here and there, but he's trying to figure it all out. I don't really have an answer for where he's headed, where he's going, but want the best for him. He's a good kid. As far as I know, from my dealings with him, always treated me with a ton of respect, and has done a lot for me professionally. So when I talk to him, it's more just, hey, how you doing? What's going on? I don't ever try to give him life suggestions. He'll figure that all out.
Because of the connections with Manziel and the Hawks, the comparisons are already starting with Manziel. What are the similarities you see between the two, and what are the differences?
I think the similarities are ultimate competitors. They were always the best growing up, and you can see that. Every time they walk in the field, they expect to win. They expect to be the best player out there. The differences are Johnny kind of looked to run more. He was probably a little bit faster, a little bit quicker, where Pat has the huge arm. He's a little bit bigger in stature, weighs more, can shed tacklers, and does a great job extending plays, but still looking to throw it down the field.
Is that more of a helpmate by him being bigger, but him being bigger and stronger than being as small as Johnny?
Yeah, I think just being able to take the type of beating you take playing quarterback. We wanted to make sure that he put on the extra weight, could play a more physical game. If we asked him to run down near the goal line more, he could do that. And so that was kind of our thought process.
What was your immediate reaction when he was going to start with baseball? What happened?
I was excited just because I thought we could really take the next step if we were able to focus one off season on the strength training, the film study, the footwork, the mechanics. That's what he did. You can see how much bigger he's gotten. He's faster than he's ever been. His arm's stronger. He's more accurate. So what I saw this spring, he took that next step to being an elite level player, and I think it'll translate in the fall.
Kliff, when you played for Tech, you were known as a guy who would take a lot of beatings and would still play through them. Looking back at Pat's year last year after getting hurt against TCU and playing through injury for really a lot of the season, do you feel like he earned a lot of respect as that leader, not just because he was the quarterback, but because of what he played through and his teammates grew to respect him?
Yeah, he definitely did. I think that TCU game, he had a pretty significant MCL injury, and they braced it up. He drugged that knee around for the next 4 or 5 games and wasn't able to play his game, but still battled and made some big plays. And I think the LSU game was a great example. We didn't block one of their D linemen all night. He's running around making plays left and right, getting beat up, but hanging in there against an elite level defense. So I think his teammates appreciate that. They know that he'll go to battle for him anytime and do whatever it takes to win games.
A lot of coached against him and having coached there. What do you think Trevor Knight